Athletes, happy Monday. First off, whoever raced this weekend, I'm sure you rocked it. You did rock it if you started. That's the important thing. Even if you didn't finish, I know I talked to a couple people who had injuries during the race and didn't finish, but hey, you started it. You did your best. Sometimes your body just tells you otherwise. And so if you got out there this weekend and raced, awesome job. Way to go. I'm Brianne Showman, physical therapist, performance coach. Get your fixed physical therapy, get your fixed nutrition. Hey guys, thanks for hopping on. I hear a lot with conversations on Facebook, conversations I have with athletes, conversations I overhear. I still hear a lot about carb loading the night before races. And so I wanted to kind of get on here and talk about if this is still necessary before our endurance events, before our races, maybe it's not so necessary anymore, just kind of debunk some of the myths that are out there and maybe even change your mind a little bit in the process of all of this. So I will start off by saying, when I was in high school, when I was in college, I definitely did the carb loading thing before races, before cross-country meets, before track meets, in college, and before marathons, half marathons, all of that thing, all of those different races. I definitely did carb loading the night before. I did my pasta, all the normal carb loading things. And that's how I performed. That's how I raced. That's how I trained. And I'm not saying it's an absolutely awful thing to do necessarily, but the question is it the best way to go? Is it the ideal way to go? Is it necessary? That's the more important part. Is it necessary? So we do need to, before long endurance races, we need to make sure we do have good glycogen stores going into the race so we can get into that race before those glycogen stores deplete and our fat burning takes over. Now, with that said, we can only store so much. So we eat all these extra carbs. It's not necessarily going to store as glycogen. It's just going to burn through us. And that's about it. Those carbs that we carb load with typically, they just burn through us really fast. We do store some of it. We store what we can. And then the rest, it just burns through us. Or it sits in our bodies as glucose, which then stores as fat. So if this is how you've been doing it, awesome. It's what I did too. I get it. But there are other ways to go about it. There's better ways to think about this. Most people tend to get, or I shouldn't say this, say that. When we're talking carbs, a lot of people get in the mindset that your carbs are your grains. Well, guess what? Vegetables are your carbs as well. And it's pretty much all different vegetables depending on and then your carb levels depend on what you're eating. So you can have your really dense, high carb vegetables, which are going to be more of your potatoes, those root vegetables, that sort of thing, or some of your other vegetables that are very light on their carbs. So what can you do the night before a race? What's a better way to go with this? Ultimately, what I typically suggest and what a lot of the books and research is going towards now is still taking in increased calories. So thinking about maybe 500 extra calories the night before at dinner time, but making it a good mix of proteins, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Now, does this mean you need to completely avoid your pastas, your grains, that sort of thing? No. If that's what you want to eat, cool, eat it. But don't make that the majority of what you're eating. You still need your proteins in. Your muscles are going to need to be used the next day. So make sure you still get your proteins. Make sure you still get your healthy fats because those are needed as well. And then carbs can be vegetables, can be potatoes, but they can be grains as well. Whichever method or whatever foods you prefer for that, awesome, go for it. But it's not as important as what we used to think it was as far as that carb loading the night before, getting in all of these extra carbs to store in our bodies so we're ready to go the next day. We can definitely decrease the amount of carbs we're eating so we're not feeling so heavy, we're not feeling so full. Add in some proteins, get your vegetables, healthy fats, and you are good to go for that race the next day. And then that next day, just resume like your normal pre-workout, pre-race eating plan that you normally do. Thanks for hopping on, everybody. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Wanted to kind of give you my 2 cents on this. I would actually love to hear your thoughts on it. I know there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of just information out there about what to do the night before a race. So I would love to hear your feedback on this. If you think what I'm saying is totally off the wall and totally wrong, cool, let me know. If you have thought, share your thoughts with me. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear any feedback, any comments you guys have regarding this. If you've switched to this method, I would also absolutely love to know what your performance has been since then, what you've noticed since then in a good way, a bad way. Just any feedback you can give me would be awesome. So have an awesome rest of your Monday. Have an awesome week. Have a good Halloween, because that's coming up too. So and we'll talk to you later. Bye.